Showdown Joe on the news of GSP, which is kind of hard. And he knows him really well, too, by the way. So we're calling the right person. I know that. Is the fabulous Showdown Joe available?
Yes, sir. How are you, Mike?
Buongiorno, come va?
Tutto a posto, grazie.
Fratello, you look mint. You look mint today. Mint. Hey, by the way, I think the thing that people want to know, I know you had that gig down in Miami somewhere, and I publicly said, get me something, which I thought was really nice on my behalf.
Yeah, it was, yep.
Did you grab me something in did you get me a little trinket from Miami? Because I really hope you did. It's Christmas.
Unfortunately, those trips when I head down to Miami, the way they usually work is that I'm just so busy. I'm in the hotel room the majority of the time researching fights and stuff like that. I barely get out to get a bite to eat, and if it's not in the hotel lobby or the hotel restaurant, I got nowhere to go, man.
What, no soaps? You can get some...
Yeah, towels, nice hotel towels.
I think you could cough up the shampoo. I'm not being a dick. I'm just saying perhaps the shampoo is something you want to give up.
Touche.
Hey, you know, the news yesterday coming down, and look, I know you, of all the people that we've come into the business, GSP is someone that I know you know very well. The news of colitis was, I guess it was out there, but officially, are we saying it came down late yesterday?
It came down, actually about a day or so ago, but the release came out yesterday that he was vacating the title. This is something he's been dealing with since the beginning of the Bisping camp. There was something wrong during training. One of his longtime jiu-jitsu instructors, John Danaher, had posted something on Instagram after the fight. I'd come to an end. George became the champion. Very proud of George, but he sort of detailed the problems George was having throughout the camp. Not being able to hold down food, vomiting, just various health issues. They tried to put on weight in a certain scientific manner. They brought in like world-class nutritionists and weight trainers, and his body just wasn't reacting. And it turns out, long story short, it was this the whole time. So now he's got to deal with it, and it's unfortunate. But, it's not looking good for George.
Crohn's, colitis, of those areas, I certainly have a little bit of delving into. A good friend of mine, his son has Crohn's, and the one thing I do know in terms of, trying to even maintain what's considered, Dave, like a normal body weight, like just nutrition itself, what you have to deal with in terms of even body function. I couldn't imagine for a guy in that sport even considering, any sort of idea of continuing on. It just would simply be impossible, and what we hope for is just for GSP and for George to have a semblance of a healthy a life as he can have, because it can be real devastating for entire families.
Yeah, big time. I mean, my conversations via text with him yesterday were pretty minimal. He's not saying much. His spirits are I guess we could say technically they're okay. They're high. But he's usually we go back and forth with stuff that we're joking around, and he's been very, very quiet. I'm not saying he's depressed. I'm not saying he's upset, but he knows that he's got to take care of himself now. He's not getting any younger, guys. He's not 26. He's like 36, 37. So health is the number one concern. I mean, yes, he's a natural competitor. He loves to compete. He loves to fight. But at this point here, first things first, take care of your health before anything. And I kind of give him kudos for giving back the title. He's not holding up the division like we're seeing right now with Conor McGregor and other fighters that have been injured in the past, holding on to that title to be the UFC champion. He's like, look, man, I'm not holding this division up. Robert Whittaker is the interim champion. Let him be the champion. He deserves it. Great fighter. He is the guy that I was supposed to defend to, or at least unify the titles with, but there's no point in me waiting around if I don't have a concrete answer as to how long I'm going to be out for. So here's the title. I'm out. Once I'm back, once I'm ready, we'll take a look at it and we'll figure out what needs to get done with the UFC.
And I was just going to ask you about that, Joe. Good morning. The timelines on GSP, we really don't have one, do we?
No, good morning, Dave. We don't. I mean, I did a podcast yesterday with Fightful MMA. We're just talking about it because it was such big breaking news, even though it was late at night. I had a bout with diverticulitis, the same thing that Brock Lesnar had, although Brock's was way worse than mine. And it's not along the same lines, but it sort of is. And what I was told after I had my surgery, diet change, complete and utter diet change. I was a heavy guy that was protein heavy, very low carbs, very, very low vegetation, and it changed completely. You got to uptake your vegetation, lots of green leafy vegetables, tons of fiber-related products in general. So George is going to have to go through that because that's his body potentially reacting not a doctor, don't get me wrong, but potentially saying, you know what, dude, you got to start changing up your diet and eating a little different. I'm sure he was eating clean, but maybe not the right mixture of proteins to carbs to fat. So I had to make that change. It did very, very well for me. I mean, I lost a ton of weight after that, so way healthier now, but I'm not a pro athlete, guys. Let's be honest for a second. They are. So there's going to have to be some changes. But in terms of timeline, I mean, my surgery was, it happened in the hospital for a week. That was it. I don't know what it's going to be for George, though, and I don't know what the recovery time is. And, again, we're dealing with a professional athlete that, training in general is difficult, let alone competing. So he's got to be at optimum percentages to even consider getting back. So we'll see what's going to happen. No word yet as to the next steps and procedures, but he should know within a week.
Now, you mentioned, guys like Conor McGregor, when you're taking a look moving forward, because we thought at some point, it was realistic that those two may have fought. In the world of UFC at that level, for, Dana White and for those involved, how does that move the universe for them? What pieces of those puzzles at the top end, what happens now?
From a promotion perspective, as long as we always remember that the UFC is not the sport, the UFC is a brand, it's a business, mixed martial arts is the sport. From a business perspective, it absolutely sucks for them because their top two guys, George St. Pierre and Conor McGregor, their top pay-per-view draws, are out. George is out indefinitely. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Conor McGregor's in big trouble based on what he did in Ireland, jumping into the cage at that Bellator event. So we don't know if they're going to throw the book at him or if he's going to get off with a slap on the wrist. But the bottom line is he's not competing in the octagon, which means he's not generating money for the UFC. So from a business perspective, I'm sure they think it sucks. So they've got to figure out exactly what to do now with Conor McGregor if they want to start making some big bucks as a promotion, as a business, either at least to start off 2018, because as it stands right now, those cards in 2018 are already filling up, and none of them have Conor McGregor headlining them. So they've got to figure out exactly what to do with Conor, because to even consider George St. Pierre isn't going to happen. So again, building stars, which is what the name of the game is for the Ultimate Fighting Championship. They got to start building these new stars, getting lots of hype around them, and to see who can start taking the mantle, who could be the next person to grab that torch from the likes of George St. Pierre. So it remains to be seen, but no one has that cachet like George or Conor McGregor right now. John Jones is out for probably 4 years. So again, back to building stars for these guys.
Yeah, when you talk about stars, there was none bigger at one time than Ronda Rousey, Joe. There has been a lot of documented reports that she has been seen at the WWE power plant in Orlando, Florida. Are we just talking about right now, and considering her relationship with the McMahon family, close to Stephanie as well, is this just a matter of time until we see Ronda in a WWE ring, and what's the timelines on that?
I think so. It's something we've been talking about a lot at the site for the better part of 6 months now. Ronda's a competitor. Let's be honest for a second. She's a great competitor, but her skill set was basically exposed when she fought Amanda Nunes. When she lost that title or when she wasn't able to win the title back from Amanda Nunes, it showed a lot. So she realized that, maybe mixed martial arts for me right now isn't the way to go. Professional wrestling. She's a huge professional wrestling fan, massive WWE fan, and if it's an option for her, again, to incur income along with her acting career, why not take it? So I think the news of her going over to WWE will likely be solidified, and a press release will be coming out soon. I don't know when, but I can't see her coming back. Despite Dana White saying, it's 50-50 with Ronda every day. One day she wants to come back, the next day she doesn't want to come back. You just never really know, but I think her future right now is going to be in the WWE, especially with her 4 horsewoman crew that she has, and that storyline, it's really picking up. So they're doing really good stuff. Guys, I don't watch professional wrestling. I don't act like I do know, but the people that I work with over at Fightful are heavy into it, and they're all over this story, and they really believe it's just a matter of time before that announcement is made, and we see Ronda Rousey in the squared circle.
Yeah, you'd have to give me, Dave, a good idea of why she wouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Like honestly, if it's just sitting there, Joe. I mean,
well, Joey, and you know the success Ken Shamrock had and it's it's still a toll on the body, but it's not even remotely close to what an MMA fighter goes through. Travel could be a problem, but as you know, Joe, when you're Ronda Rousey, you write your own ticket. You almost set up a kind of contract like perhaps the Undertaker had, where he only does X amount of shows, or like Brock Lesnar has, he only does this amount, and it's only a matter of time until the WWE puts their women's title on her just because of who she is, and everybody makes money. It's a great situation for her, and I think this is something that she could probably do successfully for the next 10 years if this is truly what she wants to do, because she definitely is and has the athletic ability to do this sort of sport.
You're bang on. She will determine, in my opinion, how many shows she will do a year. She will decide her schedule. She does have that cachet to do that, unlike someone that is coming up the ranks, someone building their career. This is all they have. Ronda Rousey has a name.
Yes.
So with that name comes the ability to negotiate and say, I'll only do 12 shows a year. I'll only do 24 shows a year. I'll do 15 shows a year. I'll do 5 shows a year. I'll do all the big pay-per-views and a couple of Monday Night Raws or SmackDowns. So she does have that cachet, and I could see her doing exactly what you just said. Again, it's just a matter of what does she want? What does she want to do? Does she have any movie offers? Does she have any roles that she needs to play? So she does have that cachet where she can determine, you know what, I'm only doing X amount, and this is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Joe, thanks so much for joining us here on short notice. Really appreciate it. And if we don't get a chance to see you, I say Buon Natale.
Absolutely.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Buon Natale and Buon Capodanno to both of you guys.
And Buon Anno. and I hope for you, your whole family, troppo butani. Is that nice?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate it, brother.
Ci vediamo. Thanks so much, Joe.
Ciao, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Ciao. That is Joe Ferraro. Showdown Joe.
Showdown Joe, you bet.
Who
he is awesome.
What? We just become best friends? Yep.